Lena hadn't slept for 4 nights already. Sleep came in ragged, short fragments, after which she felt even worse. She constantly woke up to her son's crying, which now seemed almost constant, even in moments of silence. Pavlik was a long-awaited child. For 3 years, she and her husband had been undergoing treatment, taking courses, and visiting doctors, and then he suddenly appeared, on his own, as if mocking all the diagnoses and treatments. Along with the joy came anxiety and fatigue, so deep that Lena felt as if she would never return to her former life. She was sitting in the kitchen, gazing out the dark window. On the table next to her stood the baby monitor. Its green indicator light was glowing steadily. It was an old model, which they had received as a gift from the upstairs neighbor. The neighbor had simply handed them the box on the day they moved in. "Take it," she said hoarsely, without looking them in the eye. "It's just sitting there unused anyway." Back then, Lena had taken it as a gesture of politeness. Now she just sat and waited. She was waiting for the baby to cry again. Suddenly, a rustling sound came from the speaker. At first, barely audible, then louder, as if someone were running their hand over the microphone. Lena tensed, peering at the plastic casing. "He's so warm," whispered a hoarse voice, filled with sticky, painful excitement. Lena flinched so sharply that she almost knocked over the cup. Her heart began to pound loudly, and blood pulsed in her temples. Getting up quickly, she tiptoed into the bedroom. Pavlik was sleeping peacefully, his mouth slightly open. His breathing was even. There was no one nearby. But the anxiety wouldn't go away. Lena stood by the bed until her legs grew numb from the cold floor. The next night, she was sitting in the kitchen again. Her eyes were watering from fatigue. And then she heard the whisper again. Only this time it was closer. "He smells of milk and your perfume, Lena. The one you stopped wearing when you got pregnant. I can almost taste it." Lena jumped up. Her heart was about to jump out of her chest. She rushed into the room. Pavlik was asleep. But next to his head, on the sheet, lay a dark tuft of hair, thin, soft, childlike. She trembled. She went back to the kitchen, clenching her hands into fists. Her husband didn't believe her. "Len, really, you're like a zombie already," he muttered, rubbing his face with his palms. "I'm tired too, I haven't slept properly." "Maybe you're just overexerted? Do you want me to get up tonight, if I don't oversleep?" He tried to smile, but his gaze slid away, to the coffee cup, to the laptop screen. Lena nodded. She understood, she was becoming invisible even here. She hadn't turned off the light at night. She took the baby monitor with her everywhere, to the bathroom, to the front door, even to the balcony. Every time she approached the crib, she would peer at her son, as if expecting to see something foreign next to him. Something that was hiding. Sometimes the baby monitor would start humming softly. A barely audible, hoarse voice was humming a lullaby, the same one that Lena had once sung to Pavlik. "Hush-a-bye, the bear is sleeping," only now the voice sounded muffled, and the words blended into one viscous buzzing. Lena covered her ears, but the whisper was already living in her head. One day she found an open jar of baby food in the fridge, even though she was sure she hadn't touched it. And on the floor near the crib, dirty finger and palm prints. It was as if someone was crawling, pressing their whole body against the floor. The air was saturated with a sour smell, like from rotten milk. Lena could no longer stay silent. She packed her things. Took her son. Left for her mother's place. But even there, among the familiar wallpaper, soft light, and familiar sounds, she heard a voice. "Lenotchka. I'll take him soon. You're tired, aren't you? Don't suffer. Give him to me." She didn't sleep. She didn't eat. Every touch of her son was accompanied by horror. What if, under her fingers, it wasn't skin but slime? What if the chest under the blanket wasn't rising in time with the breathing? She remembered her father's words, "To be afraid means to be alive." And then she began to fear that she wasn't the one who was alive anymore. Lena woke up to a damp coldness, as if someone had left the window open in the room during the rain and the damp air had crept right under her skin. She immediately realized something was wrong. The crib was empty. Panic gripped her instantly. She jumped up and rushed barefoot into the corridor, her heart pounding loudly, the throbbing in her temples like an alarm signal. Pavlik was lying in the bathroom. Inside the empty enamel bathtub, completely covered in thick mucus with a musty smell. He wasn't crying. He just blinked, as if everything that was happening was normal. Something was leaning over him. A creature with translucent skin. Beneath it, black, pulsating veins. Slender fingers glided over the child's cheek. Gently. Almost motherly. "You've come," it croaked. "But it's too late." Lena froze. She wanted to rush forward, but her body wouldn't obey. It was as if something held her back. Her thoughts became thick, heavy. "He's mine," the creature whispered. "You gave him to me yourself. Every night, when you asked for silence. Every thought, just to make him stop, even if just for a minute, even if just for an hour." It leaned closer, burying its face in the child's shoulder. The mucus flowed along the edge of the bathtub, dripping onto the tiles. "You're tired. But I'm not. I'll stay with him." Lena sank to the floor. Her hands were trembling. She could hear her son's breathing, steady, foreign. And she felt nothing. The green indicator on the baby monitor flashed on the nightstand next to the bathtub. An old lullaby began to play from the speaker. "Hush-a-bye, the bear is sleeping." The melody trembled, there were almost no words, just a hoarse rattle. And laughter. Low, contented. Almost gentle.